I'll never forget that feeling. It was the scariest feeling in the entire world, but you're just done.
There is no other explanation as to how he was able to survive all that he went through in Mexico.
State Department heightening its warning to Americans traveling to Mexico, where violent crimes are on the rise, even in tourist destinations.
Dustan Jackson was a citizen of the United States and visited Cancun, Mexico for a fun vacation with his wife. But it ended up being his worst nightmare, leaving him in a lifelong trauma. A quick run to the nearby gas station for a daily commodity landed him in the grips of Mexico's brutal kidnappers, some of whom were connected to ruthless cartels that ravage the cities of Mexico every day. The gruesome attack left far more than a few scars on his body. Jackson survived the attack and came out in one piece, but the memories of this incident will haunt him for the rest of his life. What happened on that fateful day? How did he escape from the kidnapper? And most importantly, who was behind this kidnap? Stay tuned as we try to uncover some of the information in this video. It all started with the perfect vacation. 36 years old, Dustan Jackson and his wife had a fabulous Valentine's Day vacation in Cancun in February 2023 and were waiting for their flight home to Salt Lake City. On the day of the return flight, with just a few hours before boarding, Jackson decided to get some chewing tobacco. He got in a cab and visited the nearby gas station, which didn't have the product in stock. Disappointed, he asked the cab driver to take him to a bigger grocery store. The cab driver took him to another building and told him that it was a grocery store. Jackson never suspected the cab driver. He got out of the cab and walked into the establishment, and that's when he saw darkness all around. The cab driver had kidnapped him.
He says there's going to be just a grocery store. So I get out and I'm like, okay, as I'm walking in, then boom, lights out. Next thing I know, I am waking up in a ditch.
Jackson had left to get chewing tobacco at 10 in the morning, but when he woke up hours later, it was already dark outside, and it was apparent that he had been brutally hurt after being mugged. The cab driver supposedly charged a few $1,000s to his credit card. The kidnapper had tried to hack his foot to limit his movement, but he was unsuccessful, as the bottom of Jackson's foot was still attached to the rest, like a flap. The left side of his body had been severely injured, indicating that the kidnapper had tried to ensure that Jackson wouldn't make it out alive. Then he dumped Jackson in a ditch.
They f***ed off the entire bottom of my foot. So they went to cut my Achilles tendon and they missed. And instead of hitting it, they hit the bottom of the foot and then my foot just flapped around.
After gaining consciousness, Jackson fought through the unbearable pain and crawled out in the dark streets. He didn't know Spanish. He spent hours roaming around in the streets, screaming for help, but no one came to his aid. Reportedly, even the cops had turned him away.
The first cops that I ran into, I swear it was a police station at least. They told me to go away.
Jackson then found a tarp and crawled under it, the pain almost paralyzing him. He knew that he had no other option but to wait for death to claim him. He was under the tarp for uncounted hours and had almost given up on his life. But after some time, he found a small ray of hope beckoning him to get out of there and seek help. He remembered his wife and children, and he knew that he had to survive.
At this point, this is when, however long I was laying there, pretty much just waiting to die, something inside of me, that strength came to me and said, you got family, you got kids, get up.
Jackson kept going. Hundreds of people walked past him and no one offered help, but eventually, a female police officer tended to his wounds and helped him reach the airport. Jackson wondered why she hadn't driven him to the hospital instead of the airport, but believed that this move had actually worked to his advantage. Hospital authorities could have detained him and involved police, which could further complicate the entire issue.
Why didn't she take me to the hospital? I don't know. Some of the horror stories I've heard, I'm glad that she didn't, because I could have been stuck down there. Who knows, says Jackson.
But the rest of his journey to his home wasn't easy either. He faced more challenges in the airport. He didn't have access to a phone and didn't know Spanish. He had no way of contacting his wife or family. His wife had supposedly left for the US without him. His wounded and battered state also wasn't creating a good impression among the passers-by. According to him, he was looking like a homeless person. Jackson managed to get a wheelchair at the airport, but because he didn't have a valid plane ticket anymore, the authorities took it away from him, leaving him on the ground. He went back to scrambling on the floor and asking for help from other passengers, but no one spared a glance in his direction. Eventually, an international traveler called Kayla Jackson noticed him and decided to help him. Jackson calls her his guardian angel. She listened to his story and helped him contact his wife.
Finally, this lady from Africa, her flight got canceled. That's why she stopped.
Jackson's wife transferred money for a hotel and a new flight. and Kayla checked Jackson into a hotel. As his passport and bags were at the airport, he had no difficulty flying back home. Dustan Jackson was taken for treatment immediately. He had sustained severe nerve damage and had to spend months in the hospital, praying for recovery and return to normal life. Alongside the foot injury, he also had a broken shoulder. Doctors spent months trying to fix it, but after 4 surgeries, they had to resort to installing artificial joints inside to support the frame. His shoulder isn't real anymore, and the doctors suspect that he broke it while the kidnapper threw him out of the cab.
My shoulder's completely fake now. There is no more real bone in there. And the doctors think it's from them throwing you out of a vehicle, probably.
He can no longer enjoy the activities with his kids that he used to, but he's just happy to be alive and spend time with his children. Jackson believes that he survived miraculously. He'd lost all will to live after the initial attack, but coming back from there still feels like a dream to him. He is definitely not taking this lightly and making the most of the new life that he's been gifted.
I take the little times in life. I don't take them for granted anymore. You just don't know what life's going to bring you. So never give up. Keep going. Everybody has a purpose.
Jackson, indeed, is using this opportunity to tell his story to millions in the hopes of shedding some light on the brutality faced by many within the borders of Mexico. Hundreds of thousands of tourists travel to Mexico every year, and if they're not careful, they can also fall prey to these kidnappers who have no humanity. Jackson hasn't been able to return to his job, but has opened a channel on YouTube. He is writing a book on his experience in Cancun and raising money through crowdfunding to turn his story into a documentary. He believes that this will help many people out there. He also has plans to start a podcast on the topic. Jackson was subjected to the worst experience of his life in Mexico, but he didn't file an official complaint at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. He knew that it wouldn't bring him any results. However, the news made its way to the U.S. government. On the other hand, Cancun authorities launched their own investigation to find the perpetrator. Given the country's history, no one is really hopeful about any arrests or attempts to bring justice to Jackson. But it's shameful that the same authorities refused to take any steps when Jackson was wounded and begging for help on the streets of Cancun. He was put through the same levels of hassle at the airport and refused to help him in any way. When asked about this incident, the police team at Cancun airport claimed that they weren't aware of any such incident and didn't have any knowledge of the attack. This only goes to show their lack of integrity and accountability in dire situations such as this one. This is not the first time the Mexican police or authorities have shown reluctance to take action against the ongoing brutality and random abductions. Thousands of people go missing in Mexico every year, and the families of the victims never really get justice. As of March 2023, around 112,000 people are reported missing in the country, and no one really knows if they will ever be found. This is only the number of locals, but the number of missing tourists will shock you. Cartel violence is nothing new in Mexico, but the popular tourist destinations used to remain untouched. However, multiple accidents have occurred in Mexico since 2018, proving that the tourists aren't safe anymore.
Just this week, police reported gunmen on jet skis showed up in the heart of Cancun's hotel zone, opening fire as frightened tourists ran for cover.
Mexican authorities have deployed as many as 1,500 National Guards in popular tourist locations in Cancun to minimize the attacks. But the question is, why do they happen in tourist areas? Well, the investigation revealed that tourists might not be the prime targets of these attackers at all.
Experts say in most of these attacks, tourists are not the intended target. Instead, cartel disputes are now permeating tourist areas.
And unfortunately, the tourists themselves might be the reason for this sudden spike in cartel disputes.
Those disputes are fueled in part by the increased demand for drugs, thanks in part to an increase in tourism. Others blame the violence on poor policing in the area.
Experts have asked tourists to stay in big hotel chains with an established name. They tend to have strong security, and the tourists won't face any danger. Alternatively, they ask tourists to sign up for the Smart Traveler enrollment programs. It's a free federal program that provides tourists with resources if they face any troubles during vacations. A recent report claims that around 550 Americans are reported missing in Mexico as of March 2023, many of whom possibly turned into victims of the Mexican cartel wars and mindless abductions. But that didn't discourage the Americans from visiting Mexico for holidays. The country is a popular tourist destination for them, and the number of tours is growing every day.
Passenger volume between the U.S. and Mexico, this January 2023, actually up 24% compared to the same month in 2019. That's a larger rise than any other international destination. Mexico is a true favorite of American tourists.
U.S. authorities can't ensure protection for all these tourists, so the U.S. State Department issued a travel advisory in summer 2023.
State Department heightening its warning to Americans traveling to Mexico, where violent crimes are on the rise, even in tourist destinations.
Tourists were advised to remain cautious when traveling in Cancun and Cabo and reconsider visiting popular tourist destinations such as Puerto Vallarta. The State Department put a do not travel advisory on 6 Mexican states: Tamaulipas, Zacatecas, Sinaloa, Colima, Guerrero, and Michoacan.
The travel advisory for Tamaulipas state remains at level 4. Do not travel. We encourage Americans to heed that advice.
Victims like Dustan Jackson are battling their trauma every day, yet they're using their courage and willpower to let the world know of the atrocities they faced at the hands of those ruthless culprits. Thousands of locals are requesting the government to take steps against the cartel violence, and if their pleas can't awaken the authorities, nothing else can. In October 2021, another U.S. tourist lost her life when she was caught in cartel gunfire. San Jose-based travel vlogger and engineer Angeli Riot visited Tulum, Mexico with her husband to celebrate her 30th birthday. She posted multiple pictures of her vacation on her Instagram account. On October 20th, Angeli visited La Malcarita restaurant for dinner. After finishing her meal, she sat on the terrace and spoke to her fellow travelers. At 10:30 in the evening, a man came running inside the restaurant, followed by 4 men with guns. They fired at a nearby table, but a few bullets hit Angeli and a German woman. Angeli lost her life immediately.
Video captured moments after the shooting appears to show a woman lying on the ground as others gather around to help. Shortly after, an ambulance arrives.
The German woman lost her life after she was taken to the hospital. 2 other women were also wounded during the incident. They were of Dutch and German nationality. The German Foreign Office issued an urgent travel advisory for German tourists right after the incident. Investigation later revealed that the gun battle took place between street-level narcotics dealers belonging to 2 cartels: the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG, and the Los Pelones Cartel, which is a wing of the Gulf Cartel. The cartels are still running their operations, but Angeli will never come back. In May 2023, a 23-year-old Argentinian footballer called Benjamin Gamond went to Tulum to work as a waiter and earn some cash. After working for a few weeks, he went to Oaxaca with his friends to spend a few stress-free days, but he ended up losing his life. While visiting Chacahua Island on May 11th, they met a man called Cruz Irving Martinez Flores. Martinez told them that he was a surf instructor and they could contact him if they wanted to participate in water sports. He also told them that he was a local and could help them whenever they needed. According to Macarena's mother, the next day when the trio went to eat at a restaurant, Benjamin noticed Martinez roaming about at around 2 in the afternoon. He approached him and asked where he could buy surfboards, but Martinez looked appalled and acted as if he was talking to a stranger. The trio left the restaurant after some time. Suddenly, Martinez charged forward toward them like a madman. He was holding a machete, which he used on Benjamin's head and face, while screaming incoherent words that didn't make sense. The only thing he said to him was, "They sent you. They sent you." Macarena tried to stop Martinez, and he attacked her as well. She received deep slashes on her back. Martinez then turned to Santiago and attacked him. He sustained wounds in his arm and fractured his wrist. Onlookers were baffled and tended to Benjamin while help arrived. The trio was immediately provided medical care and sent to a hospital. The area was comparatively safer than other parts of Mexico, and an incident like this shocked everyone. The Oaxaca prosecutor's office took charge of the case. They hoped for Benjamin's recovery. After providing necessary medical care, Benjamin was moved to a bigger facility on May 14, 2023. The transfer was arranged by the Mexican Health Secretariat in a Mexican Navy ambulance plane, but despite all efforts, he passed away the following day. According to medical reports, Benjamin had sustained severe injuries in his head and neck, which caused a fractured skull and hypovolemic shock, and these were possible reasons for his demise. His friends, Santiago and Macarena, were out of danger. Martinez was arrested. No one knew why Martinez attacked him, but an investigation found that he had previous links with a cartel and suspected that he could have been under the influence of substances when he attacked the 3 friends. Earlier, in April 2023, Mexican authorities found 4 bodies at a resort in Cancun, which resulted from a random brawl and gunfight between groups of men.
That shooting happened just behind the beach here, on the beach behind me. This is one of the most popular tourist strips in all of Cancun. Dozens of hotels and resorts right now packed with tourists on spring break.
A man named David Gregorian was vacationing at the Fiesta Americana Condesa Hotel. The incident took place near his hotel. He was strolling outside the beautiful resort with his family when he heard the noise of bullets being fired. He initially dismissed them as construction sounds.
The immediate thing that kind of caused us to stop in our tracks was just a series of consistent gunshots. So just pop, 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 pop. So we immediately turned around and tried to go away from it.
And the worst part is that there's no way to save the tourists once the attacks begin. During that incident, the majority of the tourists present in that area didn't have a clue about what was going on. There was no way to alert them or communicate the incidents. This could jeopardize more lives.
There was no announcements, there's no phone calls, there's no alerts, there's nothing to alert people that something had happened.
These gunfights are not that uncommon in tourist spots. In January 2022, a gunfight in a resort in Playa del Carmen ended up claiming the lives of 2 Canadians and severely wounded one.
This unverified video purports to show the chaos after the shooting at Hotel Scariest that left 2 Canadians dead and 1 wounded, according to Mexican authorities.
Reportedly, 2 guests started arguing, and it eventually led them to draw weapons and engage in a battle.
The shooting happened after an argument between the guests. This is the hotel guest responsible for the shooting.
In March 2023, sisters Maritza Rios and Marina Rios and their friend Dora Sands from Texas visited Mexico from Texas for a holiday. When they didn't contact their families for a few days, they filed a police complaint at the local police station. An investigation revealed that Mexican locals had seen the 3 women riding a car and going to a market. No one saw them after that, and no one knew where they went. Police suspected that they had been abducted.
Police say the 3 women were last headed to a flea market in a green pickup truck. Their family now suspects they were kidnapped.
As of December 2023, their case is still unsolved. No one knows what happened to them or where they went. No one called their families for ransom, or their bodies weren't found anywhere. The case is pending at the station, and their dear ones are still waiting for their return. Another incident in March 2023 shook the world. 4 friends, U.S. citizens, Washington McGee, Eric Williams, Shaeed Woodard, and Zindell Brown, drove into Tamaulipas, Mexico, for a short tour. One of them had plastic surgery scheduled in Mexico. Unfortunately, as soon as they crossed the borders, they discovered themselves in the middle of a cartel war. Police found surveillance footage during the investigation. It showed that the 4 friends were panicking when the firing began. Cartel members pulled them out of their vehicle and dragged them into their cars. The helpless victims didn't have any other option but to follow them.
Mexico, here we come.
The warning comes after a deadly incident earlier this month, when authorities say 4 Americans driving from South Carolina into northeast Mexico were mistakenly targeted by cartel gunmen. Video showing their violent abduction after authorities say the cartel members opened fire.
After a thorough search, the police found all 4 of them in a rural area in Mexico. 2 of them had passed away, and the other 2 were wounded and scared. Police gave them primary medical treatment and sent them to the United States.
2 of the 4 longtime friends were killed. The remaining 2 survivors returning home just last week.
The families of the deceased demanded justice, but given Mexico's history of violence and the reluctance of the authorities to take a step against them, it's highly unlikely that they will do anything. Mexico's president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has been receiving criticism since the beginning of his tenure for his inaction against Mexican narcotics cartels. These cartels are the pioneers of all violence in the country.
Add to the 27,478 homicides nationwide since President Andrés Manuel López Obrador entered office.
Locals claimed that many civilians, as well as law enforcement officers, were meeting a tragic end because the officers weren't well trained to fight cartels or organized criminals.
You sent innocent people to their deaths. Why didn't you train them to defend themselves? These boys were 18 and 19 years old. Now they're dead.
A poll conducted in 2019 revealed that Mexican citizens considered their living conditions unsafe.
In a national public security poll conducted by the government in the summer, more than 70% of people say they consider the city they live in unsafe.
The president acknowledged the ongoing violence, but he also assured people that his administration is taking necessary steps to control the incidents.
Hace falta There's a lack of peace in the country, but we will achieve it. However, there is momentum behind this problem. It was allowed to grow for far too long, but we will find a way to resolve it.
But locals don't know when they will see some actual progress. Guns, violence, and narcotics. These have turned into the reality of today's Mexico. Once the country was a popular destination for travelers. It has scenic places and mouth-watering cuisine, but all of those are overshadowed by tales of brutality and gang rivalries. If the authorities of the country can't ensure the safety of the tourists, the world will soon be forced to turn their backs on Mexico, even the good things the country has to offer. Do you have any stories about tourist abductions in Mexico? Have your close ones faced any such incidents while on a vacation? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.